today I really want to methodologically get into the online casinos. Why do casinos fail from your experience, from what you see? Like, what's the main patterns that you see?
They try to copy stake or whatever big casinos out there. At that point, you're not really having your own identity. So you'll just be a copy of a copy of a copy.
Is it coming from the intention that, okay, we just need to hit 1 million in revenue in less than 3 months. We want to be the next whatever. Do you think the lack of long-term strategy is what creating these rush?
But the promise of selling them the revenue within 14 days, it's not being transparent with your investors. And if I want to play a specific game, why do I have to give up all my privacy just to play this game?
Some people say crypto casinos are a way to avoid regulation in general. Is it true?
You're just teaching kids how to avoid rules.
Anything that we want to suppress is just gonna go even more, and it's not addressing the problem at a root level. It's just a mask to kind of avoid facing the problem itself.
So 90% of the gambling consumers should go to a regulated website. You're literally gonna ask them, are you delusional?
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Manish Palli Show. Today we have Henk as our guest. Henk is really experienced in turning around online casinos. He's worked with many regulated and pre-regulated casinos before, and he talks a lot about why what casinos need to do to be successful. This is going to be a really interesting episode. Do watch till the end. We talk a lot about what online casinos are doing wrong, what are the things that they need to focus on to be successful, and what are the things that they need to have as a foundation before starting a new online casino. So this is going to be a really interesting episode. Do watch till the end. Do let me know in the comments below what you think, and see you on the show. The Manish Palli Show is sponsored by 10xbrand.io, the full-service agency that helps iGaming companies build brands that dominate. So, Henk, welcome to the show. It's really good to have you here. We've been chatting offline for a long time and connected as well. So today, I really want to methodologically get into the online casinos. Why do they fail and stuff like that? Because you talk a lot about what they don't do right.
Yeah.
Right. I really like your posts on LinkedIn, which are short, snappy, practical, based on what you see in the industry. So I always wonder, like, why do casinos fail? From your experience, from what you see, like, what's the main patterns that you see?
Yeah, so definitely one of the main issues that we see is that they really focus on acquisition. However, they have no retention in place, or they just become a brand that has no brand identity at all. So they basically become a template. So many beautiful casinos out there, and they try to copy stake or whatever big casinos out there. At that point, you're not really having your own identity. So you'll just be a copy of a copy of a copy. Even if you acquire players through more expensive channels, such as affiliates, because often they don't have a sustainable channel like socials or SEO as well. And affiliates is basically their only way of getting players. And then they don't know how to retain these players. So there's a lot of customers every day coming in, pay for the bonus, they play out the bonus, and they're gone. They don't play the next week, not even the next day. They don't get remembered to play the next day. And I think that is the biggest issue that most of these new operators have nowadays.
Okay, so it's not having a unique brand identity as the number one thing, focusing solely on the acquisition, and not focusing on retention. Would you say this is kind of like the main patterns? Is this coming from the rush to being the next stake? Is it coming from the intention that, Okay, we just need to hit 1 million in revenue in less than 3 months. We want to be the next whatever. The lack of long-term strategy is what creating these rush.
So what I think is it's a combination of several things. One of them is they get in touch with a platform provider that will tell them we can go live in 12 days or 14 days. Well, in 14 days, you won't be able to create your own casino. You will be a copy, right? So it sounds really interesting to be going live as soon as possible, but is it actually sustainable? And then when you look at sustainability, like one, that's the I think the number three. So one is definitely retention. Two is definitely focusing on acquisition. Three is sustainability and growth. But if we're looking at why they're doing it, it's definitely they want that speed for their investors. So they want to go live in 12 days, or and then they look in the contract and they see that they're paying their PSPs like 14%, and then it's that's where you can add value to not just your investors who really like value, but also to the players who cherish value more than anyone else.
But as we know, investors are investors and they always want to see the numbers as soon as possible. So, um, would you say a lot of founders do go down the route of bootstrapping in this case to have that control, or what are you seeing in the industry with the new casinos?
So when it comes down to investors, it truly matters who you work with, right? I always go like this. If I work with an investor, I want him to or her to add something more than just the wallet, right? I want value out of him or her. I need someone in my team that I can build and rely on. If I just want a quick money grab, um, uh, then yeah, sure, casino sounds interesting. It really does. It sounds sexy as well, and that's why I think a lot of these new investors are starting to get into this industry. But the promise of selling them the revenue within 14 days, and it's just not it's not being transparent with your investors. And I think one of the worst things that you can do is lie to your investors just because you've been sold a bad business idea. So and investors that want money as soon as possible, yeah, then you're not in it for the business. You need to be in it for the business. You need to understand, okay, I'm getting into a business. It's going to take 6 months for me to break even, or for 4 or 6. It depends on what your geo is. But from that point, we can start building, and then we can start building to create a sustainable casino. But before that, yeah, I know, no, it's. I think it's a rat race. If you're going to launch as soon as possible, you'll just, like I said, you'll just be a template of a template.
So, what must be true for a successful launch in order to not burn money or just fail quickly?
So there are a few key KPIs that we often are, key KPIs that we discuss with new operators. First of all, you need to have a good brand identity, a good geo. You need to know what countries am I focusing on, because you cannot. And this is the thing: people think because you're a .com, you can market the world. It doesn't work like that. Every country has its own culture. So it's such an easy way of saying, yeah, we got a .com so we can reach everybody. Yeah, where does your marketing goes? Where does your marketing spend goes? Into the tier one industry, geos, which are regulated, or are you going for the pre-regulated geos? So we look at the branding, the geo. We look at how well is their team in retention and acquisition. Are they familiar with affiliate acquisition? Are they familiar with SEO? Are they familiar with how socials work in the industry? And then you even can divide it further down the line, like are you crypto or are you fiat? So you can really nail it down to the spot. And there are so many other things, but I think the top three are definitely: are you familiar with this industry? Are you which geo are you picking, and what's the brand? Like, because there are solutions for a bankroll. That is, there are solutions for that, and they're not really expensive, and you can even maximize exposure that you're willing to give away to players every week or month. So I don't think those are the challenges. I think the biggest challenges are just not to start within 14 days and take your time.
Usually, when founders come to you for help, do you have certain areas where you try to understand if this founder will go a long way or not? Like, do they need to have certain qualities that they need to understand before um, getting into this space?
Yeah, we always ask them, like, do you have an exit plan? If the exit plan is within 12 months, we probably won't work with them, because then it's literally, yeah, probably, yeah, I'll be honest with you. But if the exit plan is 3 to 5 years, well, yeah, sure, we'll work with you, because we understand, like, within the first year, it's a lot of the gritty work. We put the hands in the dirt, and we want to work with partners that are in this industry for a longer period of time than just 1 year. I think the reason why we do this is because there are so many treasure hunters in this industry, and it's a little bit like the gold area. I like to compare it, right? So the platforms, they're the shuffle sellers, and they'll let the we understand this industry. We tell you in beforehand it's going to cost you 4 to 6 months, depending on your budget and your geo that you're picking. But what's your goal? And once we know their goal, then we can decide if we work with them or not.
That's very useful to kind of be able to have that list, talk to them, and also probably guide them. Hey guys, like this is not the right way to go about it. I've seen a lot of them lost.
Yeah, literally. What are you doing? What, like, come on, man. Be honest with yourself and be realistic. It's not a business that you can just grab gold for free. No, you have to work for it. It's hard. It's a hard industry. It's a really hard industry.
Let's talk about crypto casinos for
Sure.
a moment. We see the trend,
Yeah.
a lot of degen crypto professionals jumping onto the trend and wanting to be the next stake,
Yeah.
right? So, what do you think is driving this trend?
Right. So one of the biggest trends why crypto casinos are growing, I think, is a lot of the regulated areas, they don't allow crypto. And having said that, in Belgium, we were the first regulated casino that had crypto available as a payment provider. And now, if you look at it, it's going nuts. It's exploding. And the reason for it is, one of them is, well, you can't pay with crypto in regulated casinos anymore, or in most countries. And what also helps is that being anonymous helps quite a bit. Yeah, like, yeah, to be fair, like, if I want to play a specific game, why do I have to give up all my privacy just to play this game? If it's a bit weird to me. And I'm not saying, like, if regulated casinos would allow crypto, I think it would be way more interesting. But one of these reasons why I think it's a little bit, you can hide behind it. It's, you don't want all your privacy to be gone, and that's why crypto is so interesting.
But there's the other side of the coin where some people say crypto casinos are a way to avoid regulation in general, right? Is it true, or is there a deeper reason to all this?
Right. So to avoid any regulation, sure, that can happen. It's not something that I vouch for. I really like regulated, and I do also work in pre-regulated markets. But I think they if they avoid regulation, there's a reason for it. And even like the Anjuan license, I mean, it costs 25 grand, but you have to apply by AML. You have to apply by KYC. All those policies have to be in place. And not having the basic policies in place, that creates a risk for the consumers. So I think that's where you can touch on subjects like, oh, well, if you're not getting a license and you are running a casino and you're just doing it crypto, why? Like, there are so many questions I would like to ask those operators, because you are literally, well, it builds trust to have a license as well. It builds trust for the consumer. And crypto casinos that are not having a license, sure, it sounds fun and all that, but the consumer would never know if they would get their money back or not, even if it's crypto, and mainly if it's crypto. We don't want that. You don't want to be associated with scam. You have to be associated with trust, and like the blockchain is an amazing thing, but it's not used properly and in those kind of ways. If especially without license, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't do it. I don't work with parties that aren't licensed. Even you just get an Anj one, like get the bare minimum if at all.
So having an N1 license, does it mean that crypto casinos can target regulated areas?
Regulated. There, I can understand why there is crypto and why it's unregulated fully. Because once again, we're human beings, we're consumers. And if you want to play a casino game, you should be able to.
What should regulators do to not have players going to illegal casinos?
There are so many aspects about this. I've had 2 podcasts earlier this week or month it was, about this subject. What could regulators do to avoid consumers to go to the black market or offshore?
Because if there is a habit, as you know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
people will find one or the other way.
Yeah.
Look what happened to India, right? They
Yeah.
were in the grayish area for a long time. Now they have a complete ban, but there are players,
Yeah.
there are consumers
Yep.
using these products for a long time. So what about them? Where do they go?
Okay, I think regulators should really communicate with every operator in their jurisdiction. I've seen regulators speak with just the top tier operators, but they've got different issues, right? So every operator has its own issues and challenges, as I like to call them. They're not really issues; they're challenges, and that's the fun part about this industry. You always get new challenges. Like that's one of the reasons why I'm in this industry. I love having a challenge. So the challenges in this industry for regulators is how do you reach the consumer that wants to go to the black market? Well, there are a few. There's 3 main reasons. One, payment providers. They are not allowed to pay with the payment provider that they want to pay with, e.g., crypto. If I want to be a consumer that pays in crypto, just let me pay in crypto the regulated casino. Otherwise, I'll go to the black market where I'm unprotected, right? And then you can be like, oh, but it's AML. Yeah, but we can have that chat. We can definitely have that chat. It's not like it ends here. No, we can have a chat about AML. Then there is the KYC procedure. The KYC procedure, I understand you need to be validated. Sure. But what you still see in regulated areas, and I know this for a fact, I literally know friends of mine that do this. They share accounts. So not just from sister, mother, brother, whoever family, no, colleagues, literally colleagues. And I know a few of them, they literally have like 20 colleagues playing on several accounts. So the KYC procedure is already invalid if the KYC procedure is made to be this person plays on this account. So KYC is a huge issue for a lot of regulators because what they do is after sign up, you have to show your passport. Otherwise, I'll play, all right, casino without passport control. Boom, done. And there's plenty out there, plenty. So that's the second issue. And the third issue is product offering. And product offering is something that it gets, again, the AML team is going to hate me for this, but there is, and match fixing is it's what it comes under, because like what the Dutch regulator said is we do not allow esports betting because it targets the youth. Well, let's talk about that. The casino average, according to the regulator, also is between 18 and 24 years old. That casinos are not allowed to target. Okay, sure. We are not allowed to give them bonuses. Sure. But the majority of the players that are playing for a smaller amount of money are in that age group. Everything above like 24, they've got more to spend and they'll spend whatever. But if you're going to ban games because they are not allowed in the country because it might attract consumers that are in the young adult phase, they are those that are tech savvy. They will use a VPN if necessary to play somewhere where they can use it.
So you're saying the better route is to go for regulation.
I think better regulation is necessary. It's required. Like this is not a solution. You're just teaching kids how to avoid rules.
Like we discussed, anything that we want to suppress is just gonna go even more.
Yeah.
And it's not addressing the problem at a root level. It's just a mask to kind of avoid facing the problem itself.
For sure. And the thing is, when the regulators, they come to me and they'll be like, yeah, but Hank, most of these players that play on unregulated websites, they are probably addicted. And if you don't know who this player is, how do you know he's addicted? And if you know who this player is and he's addicted, why don't you talk to them like in a good way where they can get an ISP ban for casinos, gambling, routers that work on that level? Like if you really want to protect it, even with drug addiction, you have to be clean when you get in, right? So there are so many issues that they have not covered yet in iGaming, and I think it's because this industry is really young, and people forget how young this industry is, and that this next generation, they are way more tech savvy than the regulator understands, way more.
And then there's the over-regulation. Let's say if we talk about Europe, right? Every country is coming up with their own regulation. So let's talk about our operator friends for a second.
Yeah.
If they want to operate in legalized markets, you know,
Yep.
getting the licenses itself, should it take like a couple of years?
Oh yeah, market entry is one of those things. So, but that's interesting because then over-regulation is one of the things that are really aren't good for anyone. For instance, again, Dutch market, taxes go up. That will mean that every VIP is on an offshore website. Now, let's talk about the over-regulation in the Dutch market. Once you deposit 750 euros, you have to, or 1500, one of the two. I'm not entirely sure, like on the top of my head, but then you have to show your pay slip to an operator. I have to
Oh,
upload my
wow.
personal pay slip to an operator. Talk about privacy.
Yeah,
So
that's
overregulation,
bad.
yeah, overregulation pushes the consumer to the gray and charcoal market for sure, for sure. It's so silly. It's it frustrates me. It really
Yeah.
does. It frustrates me.
Yeah. Do you think there is any country that has close to near balanced regulation that is considering both sides? So because overregulation is pushing consumers and operators as well to the charcoal areas, gray areas. What countries do you think are doing it in a balanced way?
Exactly, exactly. Manesh, and the thing is, once you tell this to an operator, like you're literally going to ask them, "Are you delusional? Do you understand how many players that are?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, but we see 1 million playing on regulated websites. Yeah, double that number, and now look at the black market." But yeah, that's generalization. So yeah, it's a tough cookie to crumble. Which country is doing it well? Because you have to look at, again, consumer behavior. Some areas are more tech savvy than others. Internet grade and all that, mobile penetration ratio, all those kinds of things matter when you look at good markets to analyze. So I think Norway is doing really well. Actually, I think Norway is doing an amazing job.
Let's talk about your LinkedIn game, which is something that I really like. I like that you do short, snappy, practical posts, which are just basically insights from your professional journey, as I see it. So, when did you start building on LinkedIn, and how did building on LinkedIn help your business?
Play slots. I played in demo modes, but I'm addicted to solving the challenges in this industry. I'm addicted to the game beyond for the operators, and it's such a good industry to be in. It's so much fun. It's challenging. So in January this year, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna post a few times and see what happens. And the result was, well, within a couple of days, people start to notice, hey, Hank isn't doing anything. Can we get him on board? And that started to snowball really quickly. And I mean, really quickly. I expected to have 5 clients by the end of the year. And we had Sigma recently, and we're now expecting to do 20. So we're literally quadrupling what we had envisioned. And I'm saying we now as well, because I started this business alone. I thought I'll do this for myself. But now we've got like full-blown teams, like full-time employees that are constantly working for operators, on operators. Well, they got, shareholders and stakeholders that they, have to talk to. So they have to be responsible with their answering. So what I think in terms of my LinkedIn, I use it to spread awareness about the traps of this industry. I use it to talk about this industry. I use it to clarify things about this industry that are uncertain. And the same with my YouTube. And so that's what I like to do. I like to share insights, joke every now and then, kick shins, and definitely add value. That is my main point, adding value.
And how did being active on LinkedIn help your business? Do you see like a direct relation between getting new clients because you're active on LinkedIn?
It's relatable for them. And then they'll be like, oh, maybe Hank can help us out with this issue that we're having because he's probably already seen it. So yeah, that's it gives business. Sure, yeah. Hell yeah. I love social media for business, but it's not my main intention with LinkedIn. It's literally to add value. But yeah, if you're not on LinkedIn, and if you're a CMO salesman, whatever in this whatever, if you're not posting on any social media, I'm not saying LinkedIn just specifically, that you have to tailor to your audience, right? Same with casinos, tailor to your audience. So LinkedIn, just for me, is like one of the ways where I can really interact with the C-level operators.
That's great. Again, thanks for sharing everything without any filter, I would say. And I think we talked a lot about regulation as well as what casinos are not doing right and what they need to focus on before going for the launch. So thank you so much for joining me here. And we'll catch up again on another topic.
Oh man, for sure.
So that's it for today. We are working very hard to make things valuable for our audience, and any type of feedback that you have for us will be helpful in making the future episodes better. We'll see you on another show.